They asked for mercy, but Earth sent its warriors. Cities that had stood for centuries lay in ruins, their high towers bent and broken, scarred by war. From the skies, it looked like a world haunted by shadows. And it was. Korath, a ruthless alien warlord from a distant system, had taken Zithara by storm. His army moved like a dark tide, crushing everything in their path. He had no interest in negotiation, no care for mercy. The Zitharans, a peaceful and highly intelligent race, had no weapons that could match his forces. They had pleaded, begged, and sent messages of surrender, hoping somehow that reason might reach him. But Korath did not listen. Desperate, the Zitharans sent one last message into the void. It was encoded with the highest technology they had, designed to reach civilizations far beyond their galaxy. The message was simple but urgent. "We are under attack. Our people are dying. Please, if any can help, save us." The message traveled for weeks, moving faster than light through the darkness of space, until it reached Earth. On Earth, the message arrived at the United Earth Council's headquarters in New Geneva. The Council was the governing body for all human colonies and the planet itself. It was made up of leaders, diplomats, and strategists from every nation, every colony, every corner of Earth's reach. When the message appeared on their screens, silence filled the room. The humans who saw it were used to strange messages from space. There were always signals from distant planets, but this one was different. It was not just a routine request for trade or exploration. It was a call for help, desperate and pleading, and it was addressed to humans. "This is Zithara," said the voice in the room, a holographic image flickering above the table. The Zitharan ambassador, though they were not yet our friends, spoke carefully in a translated form humans could understand. "We are under siege. Our cities are falling. Our people are dying. Please, if you have any strength, any warriors, help us." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Intervention in another planet's affairs was risky. There were laws about non-interference, about protecting Earth first, about avoiding entanglements in conflicts far from home. Many argued that helping Zithara might draw Earth into war with a powerful and unknown enemy. But one voice rose above the rest. It was Commander Alina Reyes, head of Earth's elite defense force. She was known for her courage, her wisdom, and her unshakable belief in humanity's duty to help those in need. "We cannot ignore this," she said. "These people are pleading for help. If we do nothing, they will die. If we act, we may save lives and show that humanity is more than just a bystander in the galaxy." There was a pause. Some council members frowned. "Are you suggesting sending troops?" asked one diplomat, a tall man with silver hair. "We do not even know the enemy's strength. Korath could destroy any force we send. This could become a disaster." Commander Rey's eyes were steady. "And if we do nothing, millions will die. We are not here to play it safe. We are here to act with honor. Humanity has the power to protect, and we cannot refuse it when someone calls for help." After long debate, the council reached a decision. Earth would send its warriors, its best, most skilled, and most courageous soldiers, to Zithara. It was not a full-scale invasion, not an act of aggression. It was a rescue mission. Humans would go as protectors. The announcement spread across Earth and its colonies. The best warriors were called forward. Pilots who could navigate the fastest starships, tacticians who could outthink the most clever enemies, engineers who could create and repair advanced technology under any conditions, and fighters trained in every form of combat, both on land and in space. Among them was Captain Eric Voss, a man known for his unyielding determination. He had faced battles near black holes, negotiated peace between warring colonies, and trained for decades to lead missions like this. Standing on the deck of the flagship Resolute, he looked out at the stars. "This is more than a mission," he said quietly to his team. "This is our chance to show what humanity is capable of. We are not just fighters, we are protectors, and we will not fail." The Resolute and its fleet jumped into Zithara's system, moving faster than anything the Zitharans had ever seen. When they arrived, the planet was even worse than the messages had described. Smoke rose in thick clouds from every major city. Fires burned uncontrolled, consuming homes, factories, and parks. Korath's ships patrolled the skies, dark and angular, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. But the humans were not afraid. They had trained for this. They had studied Korath's forces, analyzed alien tactics, and prepared for every possible scenario. And they had something Korath did not expect: courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to protect without seeking conquest. The Zitherans watched in awe as the human ships descended. They had heard of Earth's warriors in legends passed down from one colony to another, but they had never seen them. The ships were sleek, faster than anything the Zitherans had built, yet elegant in design. From the decks, humans in shining armor moved with precision, coordinated like a single mind. One Zitheran, a young scientist named Leora, whispered to her companion, "Could they save us?" I think so," her friend replied, eyes wide. "I have never seen anything like this. They are not afraid. They fight for us, not for themselves." Captain Voss led the first group down to the surface in small, advanced pods. The landing zones were carefully chosen to avoid Korath's patrols. As the pods touched down, humans stepped out, scanning the area. Their equipment detected enemy movements, identified traps, and mapped safe paths through the ruined cities. The Zitherans approached cautiously. They had seen so much death, so much destruction. Could these strangers really help them? Captain Voss knelt slightly, showing respect. "We are here to help," he said simply. "Tell us what you need, we will protect you." For the first time in months, some Zitherans allowed themselves a flicker of hope. They led the humans to the central city, where survivors had gathered in fear. Children clung to their parents, elderly shook with exhaustion, and the city's leaders tried to coordinate a defense with what little they had. The humans immediately began organizing. Some built defensive barriers using Earth technology adapted to Zithara's terrain. Others trained Zitheran volunteers, showing them how to use improvised tactics to protect their families. Engineers worked with local scientists, combining knowledge to create devices that could detect enemy ships or disable traps. Even in the first hours, humans proved their unique strength. They moved with speed and precision, thought several steps ahead of Korath's forces, and risked themselves to ensure the Zitherans remained safe. They did not demand tribute, resources, or allegiance. They fought simply because it was right. But Korath had noticed the newcomers. His eyes, dark and unyielding, narrowed as he watched from his flagship. He had destroyed every civilization that resisted him. Every species had fallen until now. And these humans were different. They were clever, fearless, and unpredictable. "This is unusual," Korath growled. "They are not afraid, they fight with honor, I do not understand them," his lieutenants tried to explain. "They are only humans, Lord Korath, small, fragile, limited, surely they will fall." Korath's gaze did not waver. "Underestimate them at your peril, I will crush them, yes, but first I will study them and I will find their weakness." Meanwhile, on the ground, humans and Zitherans worked side by side. They shared stories of courage, strategies, and hope. The humans listened to the Zitherans, tales of survival, learned the unique qualities of the planet, and promised that they would not leave until the people were safe. Leora, the young scientist, watched a human named Sergeant Cade as he carefully helped repair a collapsed building. They are different," she murmured. "Not just strong but kind, they care about us." "Yes," her friend said, "and somehow I feel we are not alone anymore." As night fell over the city, the fires of battle still burned in the distance. But within the central gathering there was light, a human light. Humans had come and they had brought hope. And even though Korath still threatened from above, for the first time in many months, the Zitherans dared to believe that survival was possible. And so began the mission. The humans had landed. The warriors were ready. And the people of Zithara finally had a chance for life, for peace, and for a protector unlike any they had ever known. The plea had been heard, Earth had answered. And the stage was set for a story that would change Zithara, and perhaps the galaxy, forever. The sun rose over Zithara, casting an orange glow across a land scarred by war. Smoke curled from ruined cities, rivers shimmered with strange colors, and the horizon was dotted with shattered towers. Despite the devastation, the planet still held its beauty. Lush forests clung stubbornly to hillsides, and glowing crystals sparkled deep within caves. Nature had not given up, and neither had the humans who had landed the night before. Captain Eric Voss and his team moved carefully through the central city with a group of Zitharan guides. The humans wore advanced protective suits that filtered air and monitored radiation levels. Their helmets displayed maps of the area, highlighting dangers, potential ambush points, and places where survivors might be hiding. "This is worse than the reports suggested," muttered Lieutenant Mara Chen, a tactical analyst, as she scanned the area with a handheld device. Korath's forces have destroyed everything in their path, but they've left certain routes open. It's almost as if they want to lure survivors into traps. Captain Voss nodded, his expression serious. That's likely. Korath thrives on fear and confusion. We need to understand the patterns of his attacks before we act. We cannot charge blindly. The Zitherans led the humans to a temporary refuge in the ruins of a city hall. It had survived the bombardment but was damaged, with parts of the roof missing and walls scorched. Inside, survivors huddled together, eyes wide with fear and curiosity. They had never seen humans up close, only in distant holograms or legends passed down from travelers. One of the Zitharan elders, a tall figure with crystalline skin named Solon, stepped forward. His voice was calm but firm. "Your arrival gives hope, Captain Voss. But you must understand, we have tried to fight and we have failed. Korath is relentless. He does not tire, he does not reason. How can you hope to stop him?" Captain Voss looked around the room, seeing the worry etched into the faces of men, women, and children alike. "We do not come to promise miracles," he said. "We come to fight alongside you, to protect those who cannot protect themselves, and to give you a chance to survive. We will study the enemy, learn his weaknesses, and act with precision. And we will not act alone. You will help us because together we are stronger." A murmur ran through the Zitherans. It was the first time in months that someone had spoken to them with confidence, not fear. Even though they had lost hope, the humans' calm and determination sparked something inside them, a flicker of courage. Outside, the human warriors began their assessment of Zithra. They divided into small teams, each with a specific task. Some surveyed the terrain, mapping safe routes and danger zones. Others examined the wreckage of the cities, looking for clues about Korath's movements. Engineers and scientists worked with Zitharan experts to understand the alien technology, studying weapons and vehicles left behind by the invaders. Lieutenant Chen moved through a ruined plaza, scanning for hidden mines or traps. "Korath's army is clever," she said into her communicator. "They leave false paths, decoys, and tripwires. We need to anticipate every move before anyone steps forward." Sergeant Cade, a combat specialist, crouched behind a toppled wall nearby. "This is exactly why humans are good at what we do," he said with a grin. "We adapt, we improvise. The bigger and stronger they are, the more we use our brains to win." The Zitherans observed the humans with amazement. They had expected strong fighters, perhaps, but not this level of careful strategy, cooperation, and intelligence. The humans were not charging recklessly into danger. They were analyzing, planning, and preparing for every possible scenario. One young Zitharan scientist, Leora, followed a small team of engineers into a ruined laboratory. They were studying Korath's energy weapons, trying to understand their mechanics. A human engineer named Tessa showed Leora a device that could detect energy signals and predict the trajectory of enemy fire. "This will keep your people safe," Tessa explained. "We can use it to avoid attacks and plan our own movements." Leora's eyes widened. You are thinking ahead, not just fighting but protecting," Tessa smiled. "Yes, we fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. That's what humans do." By midday, the human teams had gathered extensive information. They knew where Korath's patrols moved, which areas were most dangerous, and which zones could be used to protect civilians. They also identified weak points in the enemy's supply chains, places where humans could strike with minimal risk to Zitharan lives. Captain Voss convened a meeting with his officers. Holographic maps floated above the table, showing the ruins, patrol routes, and potential strike points. "We do not have to destroy everything," he said. "We need to act smart. We will protect the civilians, disrupt Korath's operations, and force him to stretch his forces thin. We need him to make mistakes, and then we will act." The officers nodded. They trusted Captain Voss, not because of his rank, but because they had trained with him through countless missions. He had led teams through impossible situations, and he had never failed. As the humans planned, Korath watched from his flagship above Zithara. The massive ship hovered over a mountain range, dark and imposing. His eyes, cold and calculating, followed the humans' movements. "They are clever," Korath hissed. "They do not fear me. They are small, fragile, but they move with precision. I do not understand them." "How can creatures so weak challenge me?" His lieutenant, a towering figure named Draxil, spoke cautiously. "They are only humans, Lord Korath. They cannot match your strength. Surely they will be defeated in time." Korath's gaze did not waver. Underestimate them at your peril, he said. They are not like other species. I will observe, I will learn, and then I will destroy them. Back on the ground, the humans continued their work. By evening, they had completed the first stage of their assessment. They knew the dangers, the strengths, and the weaknesses of both Zithra and Korath's forces. They had not yet engaged the enemy, but they were ready. Captain Voss walked through the temporary refuge where Zitharans were gathered. Children peeked from behind walls and adults whispered among themselves. He knelt to speak to a small group of them. "You do not have to fight alone," he said. "We are here with you. We will teach you, guide you, and protect you. Together we can survive." Solon, the Zitharan elder, approached. "Your words are comforting, Captain Voss, but words are not enough. How will you stop Korath when he returns?" Voss looked at the elder with steady eyes. "We will not just wait for him to return. We will act before he reaches us. We will prepare, we will train, and we will use every advantage we have. The humans do not fight for power. We fight to protect. That makes us strong." Night fell over Zithara. The ruins were quiet except for the distant hum of alien patrols and the soft voices of humans coordinating with Zitharans. Fires from destroyed cities painted the sky red, but inside the refuge there was light, a human light. Humans were not only warriors, they were teachers, protectors, and strategists. Leora watched the humans move through the city, repairing, scanning, and planning. "They are incredible," she whispered to a friend. "Not just strong, not just brave, they are thinking, protecting, and guiding. I have never seen anything like this." Her friend nodded. "I think for the first time I believe we can survive." And so the first day of the humans' mission came to a close. They had landed, they had assessed the situation, and they had begun to plan. Korath watched from above, calculating his next move. But the humans were already one step ahead. They were not just strong, they were clever, determined, and ready to fight with honor. The humans had arrived to save a world on the brink of destruction, and although no battle had yet begun, the Zitharans already felt the difference. They were no longer alone. The warriors of Earth were here, and they would not turn away. The sun rose slowly over Zithara, casting long shadows across the charred ruins. Smoke still rose from cities that had been destroyed, but there was a new presence on the planet now, humans. They were not merely observers. They were warriors, strategists, and protectors, and today they would take their first step toward confronting Korath's forces. Captain Eric Voss stood atop a crumbled tower, his eyes scanning the horizon. With him were his closest officers, Lieutenant Mara Chen, Sergeant Cade, and Tessa, the engineer. They had spent the past day assessing Zithara, studying Korath's movements, and learning the terrain. Now they were ready to act. "We have identified a key supply line for Korath's army," Captain Voss said, pointing to a glowing holographic map. "If we disrupt it, even temporarily, we can slow his forces and give the Zitharans time to regroup. It's a small strike, but it will show both Korath and his army that we are not afraid." Lieutenant Chen nodded. "Our sensors show minimal patrols along this route. It's a risk, but manageable. We can move at dawn and avoid detection until we reach the target." Sergeant Cade grinned. "Finally, some action. I've been itching to test our strategy in the field." Tessa adjusted her visor, which displayed real-time data from the surrounding area. "The devices we set up last night will help. We can detect enemy movements, disable traps, and even reroute patrols if necessary. The Zitharans have helped us improve the sensors. They're surprisingly smart when it comes to technology." Captain Voss surveyed his team. "Remember, our goal is precision, not destruction. We need to disrupt Korath's supply line and protect the civilians. Avoid unnecessary conflict. Move fast, strike efficiently, and withdraw before he can respond." The team moved out just as the first light touched the horizon. Humans and Zitharan guides moved silently through the ruins, their steps careful and measured. They used the environment to their advantage, climbing over collapsed buildings, slipping through narrow alleys, and avoiding patrols. Leora, the young Zitharan scientist, accompanied them, her eyes wide with anticipation. She had never seen humans in action like this. "They are not reckless," she whispered to her companion. "Every step they take is planned, every movement has purpose." As they approached Korath's supply line, the humans paused. The path stretched across a narrow canyon, guarded by alien drones and heavily armored vehicles. Sergeant Cade studied the defenses. "We can't take them head-on," he said. "We'll need to divide their attention and strike from multiple angles." Lieutenant Chen activated the holographic map on her wrist. I suggest a diversion here, she said, pointing to a small ridge. A few of us create a disturbance, draw their attention. The rest of the team can move in on the supply vehicles from behind. Captain Voss nodded. Good. Cade, you lead the diversion. Myra and I will take the supply vehicles. Tessa, cover our retreat route. Leora, stay close to guide the Zitherans and monitor for civilians. The plan was risky, but it relied on human ingenuity rather than brute force. Korath's army was strong, but humans had a different kind of strength, the ability to adapt, think ahead, and act with strategy. Cade led a small team to the ridge. They created controlled explosions, setting off holographic decoys and smoke to confuse the enemy drones. The alien patrols shifted their focus immediately, investigating the disturbance. Meanwhile, Captain Voss and Lieutenant Chen moved silently behind the enemy line, approaching the supply vehicles. Tessa's devices detected motion, energy readings, and hidden defenses, guiding the humans safely past traps. Leora's heart pounded as she watched the humans work. They moved like a single organism, anticipating dangers, protecting each other, and keeping the civilians' safety in mind. They truly are different, she whispered. They fight not for glory, but for others. When they reached the supply line, Voss signaled. Lieutenant Chen used a compact device to disable the engines of several vehicles, while Cade's diversion kept the enemy occupied. In minutes, the supply line was disrupted, and Korath's forces were confused. A sudden alarm blared from the alien drones. They've detected us, a voice said, translated for Leora's benefit. Voss remained calm. Execute the retreat plan, he ordered. Move fast, keep low, and stay together. The humans and Zitherans moved quickly through a series of tunnels and hidden paths that Leora had shown them. Tessa used her devices to create temporary energy shields, blocking enemy scans and covering their movements. The retreat was smooth, efficient, and without unnecessary conflict. By the time Korath's patrols realized what had happened, the humans were gone. The supply line lay in ruins, the vehicles disabled, and the alien army left scrambling to respond. From a high ridge, Captain Voss watched the aftermath. This is only the beginning, he said to his team. Korath will adapt, but so will we. This is how humans fight, not just with strength, but with intelligence, courage, and teamwork. The Zitherans who had accompanied them were amazed. Solon approached Voss. You risked yourselves to protect our people. You do not even know us fully, yet you act with honor. How can this be? Voss smiled faintly. We fight for what is right, not for reward. That is what humans do, and we will not stop until your people are safe. As night fell over the canyon, the humans returned to the central refuge. The Zitherans gathered to hear their report. Voss explained the success of the strike, how they had disrupted Korath's supply line, and how the plan had minimized danger to civilians. The room filled with murmurs of awe and hope. For the first time, the Zitherans felt that Korath might not be invincible. Humans had shown them a different way of fighting, one that combined strategy, courage, and care for others. Meanwhile, high above Zithera, Korath watched the aftermath. His massive ship hovered over the planet, and he clenched his fists. They are clever, he growled. They are not afraid, but they are only humans. I will find their weakness, and then I will destroy them. Draxil, his lieutenant, looked uneasy. Lord Korath, they are only humans. Surely they cannot match your army? Korath's gaze was cold and calculating. Do not underestimate them, he said. They are unlike any enemy I have faced. I will watch, I will learn, and I will adapt, but this is far from over. Back on the ground, Captain Voss and his team prepared for the next stage. They had struck once, learned about the enemy's weaknesses, and inspired the Zitherans. But the battle for Zithera was only beginning. Leora watched the humans train a group of Zitherans in basic defense tactics. They do not just fight, she said softly to a friend. They teach. They guide, they inspire. I have never seen anything like this. Maybe we can survive. Her friend nodded, hope lighting their eyes for the first time in months. With them, we have a chance. With them, we can fight back. The night was quiet, but the humans knew it would not last. Korath would return stronger and more determined. But the humans had a plan. They had courage. They had intelligence. And most importantly, they had a purpose. To protect the helpless, to fight for justice, and to show the galaxy that humans were not just another species. They were warriors of honor. The first strike was complete. The humans had proven their strength, their strategy, and their heart. The Zitherans now had hope. And Korath had learned something he had never expected. Humans were not to be underestimated. The morning sun bathed Zithra in a soft golden light, but the land still bore the scars of war. Fires smoldered in distant ruins, and the cries of Korath's patrols echoed faintly across the valleys. Yet in the heart of the central city there was a new energy, a sense of determination and hope that had not been seen in months. Humans and Zitherans were working together, preparing for a series of operations that could change the course of the war. Captain Eric Voss stood on a balcony overlooking the city, observing the progress. "Today," he said, speaking to his team, "we move beyond small strikes. Korath has underestimated us. He thinks humans are weak. He is wrong. We will disrupt his forces, free as many Zitherans as we can, and show him that he cannot control this planet." Lieutenant Mara Chen nodded, her eyes scanning a holographic map of Korath's forces. "Our intelligence shows that several key outposts are lightly defended. If we strike quickly and coordinate with the Zitherans, we can force Korath to stretch his forces across the planet. That will give us an advantage for the bigger battles to come." Sergeant Cade flexed his fingers, ready for action. "I like the sound of that. Let's make him regret underestimating us." Tessa, the engineer, pointed to a cluster of buildings marked on the map. "We can set up temporary energy shields and sensor nets here. They'll slow Korath's reinforcements and protect civilians. The Zitherans can help us place the devices. They know the terrain better than anyone." Captain Voss smiled. "Good. Leora, gather volunteers and start training them in basic defense tactics. We need every capable Zitharan ready to protect their people. Remember, our mission is protection first, offense second." By mid-morning, the city was a hive of activity. Humans moved through the streets, coordinating with Zitharans, setting up defensive positions, and sharing technology that the aliens had never seen before. Leora worked alongside Tessa, learning how to operate the energy shields and sensors. This could really help our people survive," Leora said, her eyes wide with excitement. "Yes," Tessa replied. "But remember, technology alone won't win this fight. You need courage, quick thinking, and teamwork. That's what humans bring, brains and heart." Captain Voss led a small team to the outskirts of the city, where Korath's outposts were positioned. Using cloaking technology and careful coordination, they moved silently, observing enemy patrols and identifying weak points. Korath's forces were strong but predictable in their routines. Humans had studied their behavior and knew when and where to strike. "Notice their patterns," Voss said quietly. "They rely on intimidation. They expect fear, but we will not give them that advantage. We will move smart, strike fast, and withdraw before they can respond." The first operation of the day was a success. A small outpost controlling energy supply to Korath's patrols was disabled without casualties. Humans used precise tactics to avoid direct confrontation, relying on clever maneuvers, diversionary devices, and environmental traps. Zitharan volunteers assisted, placing devices and guiding humans through hidden paths. The news spread quickly among the survivors. Hope grew with each success. Civilians saw that humans and their Zitharan allies could fight, protect, and win, even against a much larger and stronger enemy. In the mid-afternoon, Captain Voss called a meeting with his officers. Holographic maps displayed Korath's scattered forces, his patrols disrupted, and the key supply lines weakened. "He is reacting," Voss said. "Korath is frustrated. His forces are stretched thin. That is when we strike next. When he is vulnerable, we press forward." Lieutenant Chen's eyes flicked to one point on the map. "We have an opportunity here. His elite patrol is stationed near a canyon that leads to one of the remaining cities. If we can lure them into a trap, we can protect the city and reduce his strength significantly." Cade's grin widened. "I love it. Let's draw him in and show him how humans fight." The humans prepared the canyon carefully. Energy nets were positioned to block enemy scans. Holographic decoys created false targets, and the terrain itself was used to channel Korath's forces into narrow paths. Leora helped organize Zitharan volunteers, teaching them how to guide civilians to safe zones and assist the humans in maintaining the operation. As the sun began to set, the trap was ready. Korath's elite patrol arrived, confident and unaware of the ambush. The humans waited, perfectly still, observing every movement. When the patrol entered the canyon, Voss gave the signal. Holographic decoys flashed, energy nets activated, and the humans struck with precision. The patrol was disoriented, unable to advance or retreat easily. Humans and Zitherans moved together, disabling vehicles, blocking reinforcements, and guiding civilians out of harm's way. The operation was executed flawlessly, showcasing human intelligence, coordination, and bravery. From a distant ridge, Captain Voss watched the enemy's confusion. "They are not prepared for strategy," he said. "Korath expects force, but we use planning and teamwork. That is our advantage. That is what humans bring." When the battle ended, the canyon was cleared of enemy patrols. Zitharan survivors cheered, and humans worked quickly to repair damage and assist the injured. No lives were lost among the Zitharans, and Korath's forces were weakened, frustrated, and unprepared for what came next. High above, Korath observed the events with growing anger. "Humans," he growled. "They are not afraid. They do not fight like other species. They think, they plan, they protect. I must adapt or I will fail." Draxil, his lieutenant, frowned. "Lord Korath, they are only humans. Surely they cannot be a match for your army?" Korath's eyes glinted with cold determination. "Do not underestimate them," he said. "They are different. I will study them, learn their weaknesses, and then I will destroy them. But for now, they are a threat." Back on the ground, humans and Zitharans regrouped. Captain Voss addressed the volunteers. "You see what can be done when we work together. Today we turn the tide in our favor. Korath will come back, but he will face a united front. We protect, we plan, and we fight smart. That is how we win." Leora looked around at the humans, her heart swelling with gratitude. "They do not just fight," she said. "They teach, guide, and protect. They show us what courage truly means. With them we have hope." Sergeant Cade placed a hand on her shoulder. "And that hope is stronger than any army," he said. "Remember that." As night fell, the city was quiet except for the soft hum of human technology and the distant sounds of Korath's retreating patrols. Humans repaired defenses, trained Zitharans, and prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. The first major operation had been a success. Humans had proven their strength, intelligence, and heart. They had disrupted Korath's forces, protected civilians, and inspired an entire planet to rise with courage. The Zitharans now had hope, and Korath had learned that humans were not an enemy to be dismissed. The battle for Zithara was far from over, but the humans had changed the course of the war. They had turned the tide, showing that strategy, teamwork, and protection were more powerful than sheer force. And they would continue to fight, always with honor, always for those who could not fight for themselves. The night sky over Zithara glowed with distant fires, but in the hearts of the humans and their allies there was light, a light of hope, courage, and determination. Korath had met his match in a species he had underestimated, and the humans were ready for whatever came next. The dawn over Zithara was quiet, almost peaceful. For the first time in many months, the smoke from distant fires did not dominate the horizon. Yet the humans knew this calm was only temporary. Korath would not accept defeat quietly. He would strike back with full force. Captain Eric Voss stood with his team on a ridge overlooking one of Korath's main fortresses. The structure was massive, dark, and heavily defended. From previous operations, the humans had learned its weaknesses, patterns in patrols, supply routes, and command signals. Today, they would put all that knowledge to use. "We've disrupted his forces long enough," Voss said. "Now it's time to confront him directly. This will not be an easy fight, but we are ready. Remember, our goal is protection first, precision second, and we fight for hope, not conquest." Lieutenant Myra Chen studied the holographic map. "Korath will expect a frontal attack. That's why we won't give him one. We will strike from multiple angles, using the terrain and technology to our advantage. He won't see it coming." Sergeant Cade grinned. "I like surprises. Let's make him regret underestimating humans." Tessa, the engineer, set up portable energy shields along the approach routes. "These will protect civilians and slow reinforcements. The Zitharans are helping too. They've learned quickly." Leora, the young Zitharan scientist, checked the civilians who had gathered nearby. "They trust you," she said to Voss, "because you fight for us, not for yourselves." "That makes all the difference," Voss nodded. "It's not about glory, it's about saving lives." As the humans and Zitharans approached Korath's fortress, they moved with careful precision. Holographic decoys and sensor devices confused the alien guards, leading them away from key positions. The humans climbed ridges, slipped through narrow paths, and coordinated every move through silent signals and advanced communication systems. Korath watched from above, his massive ship hovering like a shadow. Humans, he growled, his eyes narrowing. They are not afraid. They are clever, coordinated, and relentless. I must adapt or I will fail. Draxil, his lieutenant, spoke cautiously. Lord Korath, surely even they cannot overcome your army. Korath's gaze was cold. Underestimate them at your peril, he said. They are different from any enemy I have faced. I will study them and then I will destroy them. But first I will see if they are worthy opponents. Inside the fortress, humans prepared the final stage of their plan. Using previously mapped routes, they moved in silently, avoiding direct confrontation until they reached the command center. Zitharan volunteers assisted by guiding civilians to safe zones and neutralizing minor obstacles. Captain Voss led a small team to the fortress gates. They used a combination of tactics, disabling energy shields, creating diversions, and using the environment to block enemy reinforcements. Every move was calculated, precise, and designed to minimize risk to the Zitharans. When they reached the central command room, Korath himself appeared, a towering figure surrounded by guards. His dark eyes glinted with fury. "Humans," he hissed. "You dare challenge me on my own world?" Voss stepped forward calmly. "We do not challenge for power. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Your reign of fear ends today." Korath's guards advanced, but the humans were ready. Using coordinated movements and advanced technology, they disabled the guards quickly without causing serious harm. Korath, realizing that physical force alone would not suffice, activated his energy weapons. Lieutenant Chen signaled the team. "Use the shields, move strategically, force him to make mistakes." The humans and Zitharans worked together flawlessly. Tessa's energy shields deflected attacks. Holographic decoys confused Korath's targeting systems, and careful coordination allowed the humans to move in ways the enemy could not predict. Korath found himself trapped in a maze of clever maneuvers, unable to gain the advantage he had relied upon for so long. Captain Voss approached cautiously, keeping Korath distracted while guiding the team to disable the fortress's main control systems. The alien warlord struggled, frustrated that brute strength was not enough. Every attempt to dominate was countered by human strategy, coordination, and teamwork. Finally, with a well-timed maneuver, the humans neutralized Korath's command systems, effectively ending his ability to control the fortress and his remaining forces. Korath's energy weapons powered down, and his guards surrendered. The Zitharans emerged from hiding, watching in awe as humans and their allies achieved what had seemed impossible. Captain Voss stood firm but respectful before Korath. "It is over," he said. "Your forces are no longer a threat. Your war ends here. Spare your people and leave Zithara." Korath glared, but he realized he had no choice. His army was weakened, his systems disabled, and his strategies outmatched by beings he had underestimated. With a growl of frustration, he retreated, leaving Zithara in peace for the first time in months. The humans immediately helped stabilize the city. They repaired infrastructure, restored communication networks, and assisted in medical care. Zitharan volunteers worked alongside them, inspired by the courage, intelligence, and humanity of their protectors. Captain Voss addressed the assembled Zitharans. "You have endured much, but your courage never faltered. Today we fought together, and together we succeeded. Remember this: courage, intelligence, and teamwork can overcome even the greatest challenges." Solon, the elder, stepped forward. "Your people are extraordinary. You came to help, and you risked yourselves to protect us. We will never forget this." "Earth has shown us what true heroes are." Leora smiled, her eyes shining. "They do not fight for glory, they fight for what is right. That is what makes them different. That is what makes them human." As the humans prepared to depart, they left behind training programs, technology, and strategies to ensure that Zithara could defend itself in the future. The planet's people were empowered, no longer entirely dependent on outside help. They had learned courage, resilience, and the value of unity. Captain Voss looked at his team one last time. "This mission was about protection, not conquest. We showed what humans can do, not through domination, but through strategy, courage, and compassion. We leave Zithara in your hands, stronger than before. Never forget what we have achieved together." The humans boarded their ships, ready to return to Earth. Zitharans waved, their hearts full of gratitude and hope. The message was clear. Humans did not come as conquerors, they came as warriors of honor. High above, Korath retreated into the darkness of space, plotting his next move. But he had learned a lesson he would never forget. Humans were not to be underestimated. They fought with heart, intelligence, and courage. They were protectors, heroes, and a force unlike any other in the galaxy. The sun set over Zithera, painting the sky with warm colors. The land, though scarred, began to heal. Rivers shimmered again, and forests slowly recovered. Humans had shown the Zitherans that even in the darkest times, courage and unity could bring hope and victory. And so, the story ended with peace restored. Korath was gone, the Zitherans were safe, and humans had proven once again that their strength lay not just in power, but in their unwavering commitment to protect those who could not protect themselves. The legacy of Earth's warriors lived on in Zithera, a tale of courage, strategy, and honor that would inspire generations to come. Humans had answered the call for mercy, and in doing so had become a symbol of hope across the stars.